So Joe says, I'm surprised to see that a good number of people I know played or still play TTRPGs with their parents. I think we could work that into a little segment.
I have several feelings about playing TTRPGs with my parents.
That came up in your birthday game again.
Do I need to step out of the room so you
No.
can be truthful?
Have I ever spared your feelings?
No, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. Would you like me to step out of the room so I don't pout like a little girl?
Well, then that wouldn't be fun.
So playing TTRPGs or anything with parents or family has its unique set of peculiar things to go along with it.
It does.
Pluses and minuses.
Pluses and minuses.
So pluses, we'll start with the positives here, is that I know my dad well enough that if he is looking through his character sheet and I see his eyes kind of go big, I'm like, he's about to do something cool, and I'll pay real extra close attention to what he's doing. Because
it's about to be epic up in here.
And not just that, but the way you say things, I'm able to read between the lines of what you say very well, because I'm your kid. I've known you my whole life. So you may say something that John, as the DM, does not catch, but I'm like, oh, I can smell what you're stepping in. I know what you're doing. And I'm able to either play into that or not be in your way. So you get to know, their nuances, and you know kind of what they're going to do.
So did you figure out the other night, those 2 times my character went on these rants, that was all build up to a spell?
After the first one, because I didn't know what your class was. So after the first one, then I kind of figured out you were doing Vicious Mockery or if you were doing Bardic Inspiration. I was able to kind of figure you out. But the downside is that the shit that annoys me about my parents also comes out in full force when we play at the table. And the stuff
with family or really close friends, you're more likely to call somebody on shit than you would if you were playing with just a regular group of friends or acquaintances, right? So sometimes things that would just, okay, that was a little weird, but it would just fly by and we'd keep on playing and become whole things.
Right.
But why did you say it like that? Why did you say is instead of just is?
Right. I feel like there was some underlying connotation there. I don't really fucking appreciate it. But on the opposite side, systemic problems that you would normally address with a group of friends are things that we will just completely ignore, because for the happiness of the family, there's no point in going and I'm going to use myself as an example. I can imagine there's several times where I'm I'm going to do this thing that's probably going to kill myself. And half the people at the table are this bitch is going to die again. She just keeps doing this shit. Why doesn't she ever learn? But systemically, you're well, that's how she wants to play. And let's not create strife in the family. She's going to do it anyways. Why argue about it? Whereas if I do something stupid once and Sarah's what the fuck are you doing? And I'm what the fuck are you doing? You don't address systemic problems, because you don't want to upset the balance of your actual family group. But one-off things that you should just be able to fly over, not a chance. That is a whole mountain that you have to cross.
Jove asks, did you guys learn from parents or teach them? And if it's the second option, how was their acceptance towards the game?
Learned. So both of my parents, you and my mom, played AD&D.
Jove, in case you haven't figured this out yet, I'm sure you have, but Steve and Emily.
Steve is my dad.
Yes.
This is my father. He sired me. And we also play with my mother. Which
my
is
ex-wife.
Yeah, which is a whole other set of nuances of my parents who are divorced playing a game together, but we're not going to trudge into that battle today.
Time heals all wounds.
Time heals all wounds. Except for when you don't heal them.
There are certain topics.
There are certain wounds that don't get healed.
Okay, let's move on.
So we learned from Steve, both of us, essentially.
I did not learn from my parents. However, I was exposed to it from my parents. I learned from Linda and Denise, because they had active games when I started playing.
Who are her aunts?
Who are my aunts on my mom's side. But I remember growing up, and then our charting cabinet in the very bottom right-hand corner was AD&D and all these other books, maybe 4 of them, that were stuffed in there that was there. And so I would every now and then pull them out and flip through them. I still have the Galantry box, which is from AD&D that I adapted to 3.5. So I didn't learn specifically from y'all, but I knew it existed from y'all, and I kind of moved forward into actually like being a consistent player with y'all. But we taught our kids
in the process.
Our oldest one has played on and off for years, about 3 or 4 years.
Our youngest one is just starting to get into it, but she will come up on Sunday if Mom has not made moves and be like, Mom, it's Sunday. It's time to play D&D.
Which we didn't get a chance to play yesterday because things got away from us, but she has been harping on me. But I wasn't ready for session 1 because things are.
It was a long weekend. You guys had a lot to do for Grandpa.
And on top of that,
our oldest one kind of had a day.
On top of that, but she has this tendency to get in the shower and she'll spend 45 minutes in the shower and get out and just walk around naked and not make any attempt to get dressed or brush her hair. So if we don't remember, which we didn't because we have been so busy this weekend, she will come out an hour and a half later and be like, hey, I'm ready to brush my hair. And it's
bone dry. It's like
a complete pain in the rumpus.
Yeah. So it just got away from us. But teaching your kids is teaching your kid is like very difficult because you're trying to make sure that you give them all the chance in the world to like do things their way. But you have a very singular point of view of how you play D&D.
We just got a raid.
I know. Puffs. Hey, Clay, thanks for coming in. Thanks for raiding, bringing some folks with you. For those of you who've never seen us before, we are Percentile Vice. On Mondays, we just talk TTRPG topics, and on Thursdays, we do actual plays. Right now, we're in the middle of a topic that was kind of tossed at us by Joven. It is about playing with your parents. We've kind of talked about all of family and everything, but specifically the question is, did you learn from your parents or did you teach your parents? And I have a middle of the road answer there. I learned D&D with my dad.
Right.
It was brand new. It was late 70s. And he met a guy at work who invited him over to see like warfare, miniature Napoleonic Wars they were doing, right? And it's a very small jump from that to role playing, especially during that time. And so then he got it and bought what?
Bunnies and burrows.
Right? And then the Castle of the Vampire Queen.
Neck armor.
And he was learning to be the dungeon master, and we were learning to be the players, and it just went from there.
Very Stranger Things, sitting around a table.
Yeah.
Retro.
If Hooper was down in the basement with them. But yeah, so.
But you've never been able to play with your parents. Your parents would have never
I think
played this. Your mom may have.
When I got older, my mom probably would have, but she wasn't driving, and she would not have been the kind of person to want to leave my dad at home alone while she did things. And my dad, I unquestionably know, would never have played.
Not
it
a
was
chance.
Too much fun for him. He was a very, very serious kind of guy. He played Mario Brothers once and regretted it the rest of his life.
I feel like, he would have asked you, like, would it be fun? And you'd be like, yeah. He's like, I'm not going.
As he was getting older, there was one point where he had a dream one night. And basically, like, he put on his pants before his hat and did a couple other things that were not in his routine. And he was so upset. Because he was like, I would never have done that.
Notice how he said pants before hat was not the normal routine.
He would be in skivvies and a hat.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy. That would have been crazy, but I think it's definitely cool to have your parents like DM and teach you. Like, I think that's definitely like a cool vibe because
it makes things a little different because there's not that impetus to have romance at the table. It complicates some of that kind of stuff. Like, and romance is a lot of what people, not everybody, but a lot of people get a lot of romance at their tables. We don't really have that here. and that's fine. But other ways, like we've talked about, sometimes the sibling rivalry plays out at the table. Sometimes you know that your kid doesn't like a particular thing. You can throw that in there to throw them off their game a little bit. But
and conversely, things he knows that we're like not okay with, like Hannah, for instance. Hannah's not much of a talker. Like, she will talk to you in person, but like she's not a
exposition
she
kind
doesn't
of person.
Like, do exposition. So when she plays a character that hardly ever talks, like, we were all like, yeah, rock on, because we knew that would make her comfortable. And we were like happy for her. We're like, that's such a fucking brilliant way for you to have exactly what you want. And we were all super happy for her Kenku that she was like, he doesn't actually talk. He does like imitation noises. And we're like, dude, that's brilliant.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. So working with family, you get to kind of see each other shine in great ways. And, you know, but there are moments of strife where you just look at somebody and you're like, are you dumb, stupid, or dumb? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Those are your three choices.
Those are your only choices. Dumb, stupid, or dumb.
Well, we are dumb, stupid, and I think done with this particular segment, unless we wanted to throw in something else.
Yeah, just, hey, you know, if you have a hard time being the teacher for your kid for other things, you know, like if you try to teach your kid how to read and it gets frustrating for them and frustrating for you, it could be difficult to be the one trying to teach your kid.
It could be.
And sometimes you just got to realize we are not a good student-teacher combo. And go learn it over there and then come back and let's play together. I really want to play, but I can't teach you because we butt heads too much when I'm trying to teach
Me and Tony are much like that. Like, me and Tony cannot get on the same page about a lot of things. I can take care of Gemma, like me and Gemma, I can get it. But Tony, I look at him like, what are you talking about? John gets her, and so, like, he has to deal with a lot of that because me and her will just end up screaming at each other. We'll just be so angry and, like, worked up. And so John will have to take over because I am incapable.
On top of me sort of getting what she's going through, there were a lot of times in school where teachers would be like, hey, this person doesn't understand the high school geometry material. Could you wake up and show them how to do this? And I'd be like, sure, because that meant, you know, I could sleep after I was finished and they wouldn't be mad at me. So,
but sometimes the child-parent relationship is too close
sometimes
to be an effective teaching relationship.
Yeah.
So you just got to be cognizant of that. But if you get a group of people together and you're teaching everybody at the table, then that one person doesn't feel like. I remember, like, Tim growing up, involved with sports, right? And after a game or whatever, I'd be like, hey, dude, what you got to do is, you know, choke up on that bat a little bit, or hey, when you're getting ready to block on the line, you want to get lower. And I would get eye rolls, like, I know how to play baseball. Good. And then the next day at practice, I'd see his coach telling him the exact same thing, and Tim's like,
yes, coach.
Yes, sir. Got it. Like, what the hell?
Because you're too close.
That's what I just said.
Too close to the situation.
Right. And so.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a lot of that from Tony because she is the type, we can tell her all kinds of stuff and
you're just the stupid parents.
Mm-hmm. But you know,
one YouTube video says something and it is law.
Or one of her friends at school.
Yeah.